Okay, here we are again with this simple journal. I have sewn the crochet trim on the front, and so you can see from the back how some of these pages stick out, because the more close to the center you get, the more the pages stick out, especially when you're using thick, heavy paper like this. And I trimmed a lot of it, but when you put this lace on the front, then you don't notice them sticking out. And even if you do, it's fine. It's a junk journal. And so I used the same trim on the front and back signatures, and then used a different one on the middle. Sometimes I use a different one for every signature. And I will usually sew some more trim to one of the pages that's near the center, so you have 6 rows of lace. But since Jennifer wants to decorate the book herself, I'm only sewing the trim on the front. So now to make the cover. This is the cover that she sent, and I need to make a new spine for it. So this is very easy to take apart because it's so old and was pretty close to falling apart anyway. So I'm just taking the spine off, trimming off any extra that's hanging off. Let's see what's here. I'll send this page with her in case she wants to use that, but I don't see the copyright page. Sometimes I make a bookmark with this, but this isn't very pretty. If I was making a bookmark with it, I would Mod Podge it to a piece of cardstock. Alright, here's the cover. Now let's see the width of our book. See how big we want to make our spine. What I do is I take the signatures all together, put the cover behind it, you know, on front and behind. This is what it looks like. And then, let me move my pad a little bit. I have a ruler on the bottom of my mat here, my craft mat. This is actually a sewing mat, a cutting mat for sewing and quilting. So I hold, you can't really see what I'm doing, I'll do it here so you can just see it, but I use these lines. I hold the book there to see how big I need to make the spine. Even though these pages are not decorated, they were thicker pages, the cardstock pages, and so they're thick. So you can see, let's see, that's 2.5 inches right there, and she hasn't decorated it yet. So I'm thinking I have to make it a 3-inch spine, so to give her room to decorate. And it probably will end up with alligator mouth. Wonder if I should take some of the pages out, but I don't think so. I'll just give it a 3-inch signature, which is pretty big. So I've got my cardstock here, my chipboard somewhere. Here it is. Got some chipboard. You can get sturdy chipboard on the backs of good quality tablets, but you don't want to buy tablets just like the Cambridge tablets. They have a really thick, heavy chipboard on the back, but you can't just keep buying tablets just to have chipboard. Some people use cereal boxes. You can make it 2 or 3 layers of cereal box if you want to, but you can go online and find packages of 12 by 12 chipboard. I didn't have to do that because a friend of mine purchased a pack of 12 by 12 chipboard, and then when she decided she didn't need it anymore, she gave it to me. The same with the Tyvek envelopes. I was actually shopping at Walmart today, and I was in the aisle where the envelopes are, the mailing envelopes and stuff, because I had to restock on some of those envelopes, and I noticed that they had a pack of 5 Tyvek envelopes, which I had never seen them there before. You can get a larger pack at Staples, but 5 Tyvek envelopes would last a long time if you're only using them to reinforce the spine like I do, and I'll show that to you when we get to that stage very soon here. So I cut this 3 inches, and now I'm just going to cut it the right height. So I just put my cover on it, draw the line, and then I will cut inside the line, otherwise it would be a little bit too high. So anyway, it's not too expensive. I can't remember the price, but it's not too expensive for those 5 Tyvek envelopes, and they would last you a long time. And they were about a 9 by 12 size. But the ones I have are bigger. I think they're 11 by 13, and they were also purchased by another friend. Actually, these 2 friends are sisters. It's good to have friends who don't need their craft supplies anymore. So here's a part of the Tyvek envelope that my friend gave me. Next step is find the back cover. There it is. I'm going to use my red line tape, which I get at any of the craft stores. Some of them are on a bigger spool, like this part is a bigger circle, so they look bigger, but they're all the same. They all have the same amount of tape on them. I think at Joann's, it's American Crafts that they have the brand, and it's on the bigger spool. But you can find it at Michael's and Hobby Lobby and Joann's, and it's a very, very good sticking tape. So I put it on the edge of this and on all 4 sides of the chipboard. I've done this before on video. And then I'll put it on this edge. And this is the inside. I have done it on the outside, but I like doing it better on the inside. And it doesn't matter if this is entirely straight because it's going to be covered. I just want it to be wide enough to cover that tape. You don't want it to go too far over the tape because you're going to have to put fabric on wide enough to cover this, and you don't want the fabric to be too wide, unless you do. You might want to as a decorative feature, because that could be fun. Have a big piece of fabric over here, and then you could, you know, decorate that with scraps of fabric or laces or whatnot. It would be fun to do. Jennifer, you could use small little snippets of feedsack fabric to decorate your cover if you want. I wouldn't use the feedsack fabric to cover the spine because it's loosely woven fabric compared to regular cotton. And I like something a little firmer to cover the spine. And what I didn't, oh yeah, I'm just going to stick the Tyvek down now. I was going to say I didn't cut my fabric, but I don't need to yet. Tyvek first. Now I suppose you don't need to use Tyvek. If you're using fabric, that should make it sturdy. You know, the fabric isn't going to tear. But I started doing these with paper spine, you know, covering it with paper. and I wanted the tyvek to give it extra support. And now I use fabric on my spines, and I still use the tyvek. Just because that's what I do. You know, you get into these habits, and the tyvek was free for me, so I'm using it. I'm just trimming off this excess. This side's pretty good. My battery is flashing at me, so I'm just going to keep going until it runs out on me, or until I'm done here. If it runs out, I'll just start another video. So this piece was already cut from a previous project. This is a heavier type of fabric, and it looks like it's just the right width, which is very convenient. I thought this was a good color to go with this. So all I have to do is cut it to the right length. I like that. I didn't have to cut this. So I would have this way down here. Oop, not quite that far. And fold this over. So I'm leaving it here. It's lined up the way I want it because it's just covering that tyvek. And I'm going to glue this part up. There's a fold in the fabric here, but I'll straighten that out when I glue it up. You can see that the edges of this fabric are frayed, but I cover the edges with trim or paper border, and I'm going to do both with this. I think I'll do trim on the outside and the paper border on the inside. That way you'll get to see both. It's a pretty stubborn fold in the fabric there. There. So now I want to glue on the outside, but I don't want to stick glue further up than I need to, because then I get glue all over my mat. So I'm just going to put some glue right there, and then I'll know I'm going to glue from here down. That's just my little trick. I'm using Beacon 3-in-1 glue, or you can use Fabri-Tac. I don't even know what the difference is. They're both made by Beacon, and they both seem the same to me. Don't know what the difference is between Fabri-Tac and 3-in-1. Whoops. I don't want to go up that far. Didn't I just say that? I'm hungry. I didn't eat much lunch. I had no breakfast. And a very small lunch because I wasn't hungry today, but now I am. But I'm going to be busy till supper time, so I'm going to have to wait. It won't kill me. And I won't bend the cover while it's dry, while it's wet, because if I do, If I bend it, it'll pull, and then when I open it out again, it'll be wrinkled. So won't bend it. I will just turn it over and glue this part down. I have to tell you, Grandma, something, and I hope you won't feel too bad about it, but my grandson Teddy yesterday came up and sat with me in church, and he whispered something to me, and I couldn't hear him, so I leaned closer so I could hear, and he said it again. "You're the best grandma in the whole world." So I thought I'd better let you other grandmas know. I'm kidding. As long as I'm the best in his eyes, that's good enough for me. I'm sure you are the best grandma in the whole world to your grandchildren. Okay, now, do I want to cover this? I don't think so. I will let Jennifer do that if she wants to. Hopefully she won't want to, because I'm going to glue lace down here. Because this, I like the vintage look of that. So I'm just going to move on. I brought a couple of rickracs over. Jennifer likes vintage fabrics and vintage papers, so I brought vintage rickrack over here. I can get it open. I have this brown and black one and this yellow one that I want to audition for the role of decorating the front of the cover. The battery's flashing, but we're still going. I've got quite a few of these trim labels now. I've been using them in domestic arts journals, but I really need to make some more domestic arts journals. I love making them. Which are based on Gina Johnson's homebodies. I just didn't want to call them homebodies because I'm stealing the idea from her. I didn't want to steal the name. I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to take credit for this idea by giving them a different name and calling it mine. Okay, so we have that yellow one, which I like. It brightens it up. And we have, oh, that one's pretty too. Ooh, I think I like that one better. Seems to just go with it better. Yeah, we're going to go with that. Trim off some of this longer thread here. Now, depending on the trim, I either just run glue here and stick the trim in it, or I run it along the trim itself. I think with this one I can safely run it on the trim. What kind of pies are you going to make for Thanksgiving? My kids don't eat pie. My husband loved pie. I always made him an apple pie. He liked pumpkin pie. I do like apple pie, but usually I only eat the apple pie that I make, or my mom. or my sister's, because we all use the same recipe. But I think I'm going to make a chocolate meringue pie. It's just, I use a homemade crust and make chocolate pudding to put in it, and then put meringue on top. I like a chocolate meringue and I like a lemon meringue, so I'll do one for Thanksgiving and one for Christmas, and then my kids won't eat them. But their spouses will. So they'll help me out. The only pie my son likes is coconut cream, especially if my sister makes it. I've never made a coconut cream. She makes the custard from scratch and everything. I use a pudding mix to make mine. But my daughter doesn't eat any kind of pie unless it's like got a graham cracker crust with pudding in it or something. So for the inside, we're still going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to cut a piece of cardstock, ivory colored cardstock, I don't need that, to maybe 1.25 inches. See how that does. Got 2 of them. I often put trim on the inside too, but I want you to see the option of using paper. And I'll use this. I have that one. I don't have a lot of edge punches. Which one should I use? I think I'll use that one. Yeah, I'll cut it after I punch it. Some of my family love pumpkin roll too. My husband loved pumpkin roll, and I used to make lots of pumpkin rolls around Thanksgiving time, and then I sold some to my co-workers. It doesn't need to be that long. But I don't eat pumpkin roll. And even though my daughter-in-law would love me to make it, and my brother-in-law, and my nieces, my kids don't eat it, and I don't eat it. So I'm probably not going to bother. I'm thinking that that's a little bit wider than I want it to be. What did I do with my paper cutter? Oh, it's over there. I'm just going to trim a little bit off, or a lot off. And I'll use the 3-in-1 glue or Fabri-Tac to glue that down. And of course I'll do the same on the other side, but I'm going to do this one first and then probably call it quits and change my battery. I've got glue clogged up on the top of that. So I will do that on this side also, and then I think the next step is just to sew the signatures in. So come on back for that. Bye.